This daf Yerushalmi Shekalim in the article also edition of daf Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph Rabbi Yechanan after the brackets, which is the third line down. When the Vilna Bavli in Vilna Yerushalmi, we're on Yud Tes Amud Beis in the middle. In the Vilna Bavli Yerushalmi, we're on Yud Beis Amud Beis. It's where the line appears in a parentheses, not a bracket. So B'Shem Melchot 20 Kedoshim, 18 lines down. Then it says Omar Rebbe on the end of the line, and then Yochanan on the next line by the little dalid. So Omar Rabbi Yochanan said it was Shimon, who we just quoted, and who says the kedusha doesn't take effect on the on these animals which are misappropriated because it's supposed to be a zocher, and he took in the cave instead. Is the same as Rabbi Yeshua in our Mishnah. Yeshua in our Mishnah, as the talking Chanati, it says, Yeshua Masisi Amar Nekevus Yimochel Tzorchei Zivchei Shlomi Yavid Meim V'chulei. So you said that the Nekevus should be sold for Zivchei Tzorchei Zivchei Shlomi, and you bring with their money the Kachim Mizbech. So that is similar to Rabbi Shimon. It's not bedek habayis, kachim mizbech, but it has to be sold for the purpose of the because it's not Rabbi Lezer also goes bedek habayis, but it's sold for the purpose of kachim. It doesn't, even the cave itself does not become a shlamim. It has to be sold for the shlamim and the money used to buy olos. So too the Rabbi Shimon holds the same thing. And if you're makdish, then a keva, when you're supposed to have a zohar, so the same principle would apply. Rabbi Shimon Omer, the keva ola lo kitra el hektish dami. You have to sell it as a shlamim, to serve as a shlamim, use the money to buy an ola instead. Now, the Tani Chatin elaborates here, which I want to see it inside. El hektish dami, the keva simochel tzorchei shlamim. As he said, it is sold. You have a kush zakuf, have a boy riad shistov, and this is the main point he makes. If it had kush zakuf, it would have to wait. You have to wait to graze it, you have to graze it till it gets a mum, and then then can you sell it. But zel damar in tema kush zakuf. So that which he says, if you're going to say it's kedushas, that was kedushas zakuf. What he means to say, have name a euro ad sheyipo. The mum that you have to do would have to wait until it gets a mum. If they're kosher guf, they have to wait to get a mum and then sell them and buy with their money, buy the money shlamim. But you don't. You can just do it right away. You can sell them right away for that purpose. So and he holds like that it's the kedusha is completely undermined, and it's not completely undermined. The kedusha is not a true kedusha, like Shimon Yehuda says. So anytime it's not suitable for that purpose, lo nachle kusha guf. Kusha guf does not devour upon it. And that says in Torah, the Bavli, the Avchon Beis, Rabbi Yeshua, Sili, Rabbi Shimon Yehuda, Ali Rabbi Shimon. Okay, so there's no true kedusha guf. If that's like Rabbi Shimon, not according to Shimon Yehuda, there is a kedusha guf, at least in the case of Ola, and that's where you can make a Tamura. But like Shimon Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, it never gets full kedusha guf. And that's why you can never make tmura, and that's why it can be sold even without getting a move. You don't have to graze it; you sell it. It's for the purpose of shlomim. So again, it doesn't actually. It's kind of it goes back to what we said yesterday. It doesn't come complete chulin, but it's sold for the purpose of shlomim, and that sale can take place even though theoretically it's coming chulin in the middle. Until in order to revert from this kedusha t'chuya to shlomim, still that's okay to do. That's certainly according to Rabbi Shimon. Okay, and according to Rabbi Yeshua. And that's what it says. Can Rabbi Shimon the cable local shall have the shlami in temak guf. You'd have to have it go and graze, so got to move. Amar Rebbe. Rebbe said, Rohan, and he was different Rabbi Shimon, but Pesach. I see the words of Shimon by Pesach. Now here, the Gra changes the Girsa as well. We haven't changed the Girsa yet today, but this is our first one. Ein ani roer. Okay, so he says, I don't see the words of Rabbi Shimon by Pesach. And the Kotak Nechatim, of course, goes to that change of Girsa. But first, let's read it fully inside. Omar Rabbi, any roes, ain't any roes divrei Rabbi Shimon Pesach. And here the Gra. Actually, I was looking. It was close, but it's not the Gra. But the Tanakh Chadi does change it. Okay, sorry about that. Tanakh Chadi does change it, and he changes it further. He says, "Ain't any roa as Shimon Pesach shemosa Pesach ba Shlomim." Because Moser Pesach comes to Shlomi. In other words, just like Ola had an affinity, Zachar has an Ola, Nekeva has an affinity to Ola by Oaf, so too a Nekeva has affinity to Pesach when it comes Shlomi. Okay, so let's see inside Katan Chani Klomar, Hol v'shayich Shlomi at Pesach, u'Shlomi by Nekeva. V'avgav da'achlo karven Nekeva, afilu Shlomim lachra Pesach, even though this animal can't be sacrificed to Shlomim even after Pesach, which because of Tumura, Yishtayach Pesach Tira, so after the Pesach it's got to graze. Mushem Shlomim, nevertheless, it has the same Shlomim, Ho'ev Shlomim, Nekeva, Nachlo Kedusha Saguf. Since it's a Shlomim and it's a Keva, so therefore there's a Kedusha Saguf which devolves upon according to Rebbe. Okay, so Agma takes it a second, a little bit further. I'm going to say like a double rowing, right? That's if I'm saying it's rowing. Lema, let's say, Enani Roas de Rav Shimon Osham. Again, going to talking Chadadin's Girsa. Shemoser Osham Ba'ola. Because an Osham, let's say the same thing about an Osham. Because an Osham, the leftover Osham comes Ola. Now, that's only as a Zachar, right? There's no scenario in which an Ola comes in the Keva, but Ola Sa'ov comes in the Keva. There was a double rowing. So let's say also in that case, Kedusha Saguf will be able to make Tamura, because just like Rebbe said, by Nekeva for Pesach, since case it comes Shlomim, and a Shlomim can be in a Nekeva. So therefore, it does have Kedusha Saguf, it can make Tamura. So let's say the same thing by that Ein Oni Rosh Dirishim Osham, because an Osham can come as an Ola, and an Ola can come as an Ola Sa'ov, and an Ola Sa'ov can come as an Nekeva. Right? Good question. Says more no. Rabbi Avin said, "Im hikdish Pesach bo Shlomim." If you consecrate Pesach, it comes as Shlomim, meaning gufa korv Shlomim. It itself comes as Shlomim. In other words, the leftover Pesach, most of Pesach is Shlomim. Im hikdish Osham ba'ola. Does it come as an Ola? No, ain't gufa korv Ola. The Osham itself does not come as an Ola. You have to as all the Farshim say. Oh, let's say you're talking Chadatin, because you're going with him today. But Dachi Rabbi Bun, Yidish Pesach Guvei Karev Shlem Shem Shlem Olem Mashrim Osham Te'en Gufa Karev Ola. If it's a Moser Osham, it itself cannot come directly as Nola. Elayer Tree Staiv, it has to go graze until it gets a mum. But Doma people in double Ketzin Zech, when the money you raise, and suddenly it goes to be an Ola Ketzin Zech. So therefore, there's the interruption in the middle. That's why Kedusha Saguf doesn't apply to an Osham which was in the cave, because it's not a straight line from the Osham to the to an Ola. It's disrupted. It has to have a mum in the middle. It's supposed to the Shlomim and Pesach, where there's a straight line from Pesach to the Shlomim. So therefore, the extension applies as opposed to this extension. Okay. Here the Gra does change the Giyasa. The next line, it says My Kadun. But the Gra changed it to my plige. My plige, what is the machlokas here? And the second side says, what's the machlokas by Rabbi Shimon Rabbi that he says, Einani roeh? He disagrees. The kind of summit the shop the Rebbe Ella Pesach fresh Shutai Badion. It's going specifically on the machlekes between the Rebbe and Rabbi Shimon by Korban Pesach. But the Korban points out it's also machlekes Tanakam Rabbi Shimon are going on, right? What is their machlekes Tanakama and Rabbi Shimon in this respect? about where he said all these things. The Tanakama said that he finished the cave of Allah, so the peace of Hashem osa tmura. Okay. Rebbe argues, so it's not just Rebbe, it's also Tanakama we're explaining as well. So I'm not sure the Talkin Khatin said is going on Rebbe Zivli and not a Tanakama and Rebbe Shimon. I guess I know why as far as more easy to say in Rebbe, but okay. Hahuna mer ekdish domika. Rebbe Shimon holds that a person who's makdish in the cave for his Pesach is not makdish kedusha saguf. It's only hekdish domim, because it's not suitable to be brought as shlomim. So therefore, it's not kedusha saguf, right? Whereas Haina Mark kedusha saguf. And the Rebbe holds, according to my opinion, that's going to Rebbe, that since it can come as a shlomim, so therefore since shlomim can be in the keva, and basically can come as shlomim, so therefore it's kedushas aguf, according to the way the Carbon 8 is learning it. So it's going across the board, right? He's saying that Shimon holds that any time it's not suitable for that thing, it's only called kedushas domim, and Tanakama holds. Since in final analysis, there's some carbonates that come in the kavas, so therefore it's kodesh kedusha saguf. So either way, it's a similar idea. I see actually in final analysis that Talkin Kadin also brings down both pshatim, and he explains it more according to both interpretations. It should work out both ways according to everybody. That's it seems to be somewhat interchangeable. Now the Quran the Talkin Chadatin bring down here a whole girsa from later on, which appears on Lamed Aleph base in the art scroll. From Chavrai B'Shem Rabbi Yechanan, and which is on end of Chafam Ralph in the Vilna Yerushalmi, and in the Vilna Bavli Yerushalmi, and Yov Gimel Ralph Rabbi Shem Rabbi Ivu, and that is going back here, going on Rabbi Shem Bar Yehuda over here, but I don't know if Reb Chaim changed the gear, so it would be very drastic for him to do and bring it down here. He doesn't. So we're not going to do it either. We'll leave it when we get there. So the Gemara goes on and then says, Rabbi Zir B'Shem Shimon Lakish, the time Rabbi Yeshua, what's this for Rabbi Yeshua, who said that if you're makdish, behemoth tmimim to Berek Habayis, it becomes kachim izbeach by definition. At least the Zcharim become olos. Daber Aron v'Abanav v'Elkov Yisrael Marta Aleim Ish mi Beis Yisrael Asher Kibla Hashem Olah. The Olah. Asher Kibla Hashem Lo Olah. So anything which you bring to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Asher Yakriv, right? Lo Olah. So this teaches us that everything becomes an Olah. Fine. In other words, any Nadava, any the exact lashon of pasuk, which is not brought down in its complete form here, obviously in the Gemara is Tabel Ramba Banabel Bnei Yisrael V'Atalem Ishish Meisel Minager B'Yisrael She'er Krib Karmel Chol Nijem Chol Nidvosam. Any neder in the dava She'er Krib Hashem Lola. If they bring it to Hashem Lola, it goes like a main Ola. Now, L'Tzochem Tamim Zochar. The next pasuk says. So that was pasuk Percha Beis pasuk Ches. Percha Beis pasuk Ches says L'Tzonchem Tamim Zochar. That this is talking about Zocharim. Fair enough. I feel the kavos. I know even the kavos applies as well. Tamlomer Babakar. Since it says Babakar, then it's that part says L'Tzonchem Tamim Zochar Babakar. Bakwasim Ba'izim. So the Rabbos is in the kavos. It comes in by the kavos. Now, of course, in the kavos themselves not bought as olos, but they are sold for the purpose of olos, and they are brought as shlomim. Yitzhak Elazar asks, see, because of Zohar, it says in the pasuk Zohar explicitly, right? Vata Marta Babakar the Rabbos is the Kavos. You're saying Babakar comes the Rabbos is in the Kavos. That's the case. You're going to say that, then the Kavasah, it says Ksiv Tamim. Says Pasuk, "Tzochem Tam Zochar V'atamar Babakar." Then you should also learn that to Babakar, to Rabbos Bali Mumin. And if you Makdish Bali Mumin, it also has Kedushas Olos. If you want saying, well, it doesn't really mean Zochar because it says Babakar, say it doesn't really mean Tamim because it says Babakar. Not Beneil. What's the difference? Why say about one about another? So Rav said, Shifta de Karkada. This is a talking inside the kind, it says Shifta Karkada Eitz Horgim, the weaver's stick. Shemavdil Mechutim, which separates between the strings, Lirosham Chuta Erev, in order to put in there between the two of them the weft or woof thread, goes among the woof threads. Since it's sheep to the katkada, since it's a large difference, so therefore I don't have to interpret it. So what is the reason? So it says, the Babakar stam mashagam the kabos. Babakar is a generic term which includes also females. Shirui gagel kar which also before carbon. Kamash kosov imina bakar makriv. It's a passing by Gimel Aleph. Imina bakar makriv is a charim in the kabot. Tamim akrivena. It can be birth commands to Shlomi. Being Babakar doing the carbon she had tamim. So we learned Babakar has to be similar to any carbon. It has to be tamim for the carbon achad for another carbon. Abuya Babakar Bali Mumin, but the Babakar should include Bali Mumin, Lo Mashla Klav. Doesn't seem to be true at all. When the Ma'ila Kama Babakar Ophos, Lo Mishtama B'Teos Bakar, just like birds are precluded from Bakar. Hachinami Mumin Lo Nichlu, or not including Bakar. Hachinami Bali Mumin Lo Nichlu Bakar, Bali Mumin not included Bakar. And we need carbon cloud. Not supposed to be carbon at all. They don't get any Kedush L'Guf. You should have the carbon Ola. That should be for a carbon Ola. The name of Shevi Meim Ola. That we should say they have to be sold, and you have to use the person's Bible Ola, and therefore El Bedek Habayis. Okay, and then he gives another way of learning it as well, in order to that Babakar should be considered clearly referring to the Kavas and not to Bali Mumin. And that brings us to the top of Lamed Aleph, 2 dots, and we will stop here therefore today.